Hello, everyone. My name is Samuel Boateng, and I'm a Trade Commissioner with a regional office based in Alberta and the Northwest Territories. And I cover agriculture, primarily as well, ag tech and equipment for the region. With And the Trade Commissioner Service has over 1,000 trade commissioners around the world, with over 160 offices globally. The Trade Commissioner Service has a variety of tailored enhanced services that are designed to support high potential, high growth firms to scale and grow and expand their exports into new and existing markets. And these services include mentorship for industry leaders, support in accessing finance resources, engaging strategic partnerships, and potential clients, as well as refining international business strategies. Today, we'll be having a great discussion with three of my colleagues based in our global offices about one of our key enhanced services, the Canadian Trade Accelerator program. And this program helps Canadian companies with a scalable technology or product accelerate their global growth by providing customized market entry support in major technology hubs across the world. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my three colleagues for our lively discussion today. First, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Emily, from our San Francisco office. Hi, Emily, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. And thanks, Sam, for the intro. As you're saying, my name is Emily. I'm the Trade Commissioner here in San Francisco for Agtech, so Agricultural Technologies and Climate Tech. And I'm one of the co-directors of the Agtech CTA, the Canadian Technology Accelerators, that I'm co-directing with Jenny, my colleague in LA, and our colleague Christina in Minneapolis. It's a real pleasure to meet you.
All right, thanks, Emily. And without further ado, maybe we'll pass it on to Jenny as well as your co-coordinator to introduce herself.
Great. Hi, everybody. As Emily mentioned, my name is Jenny Karanjana Vijaya, and I'm a Trade Commissioner covering Agtech at the Canadian Consulate in Los Angeles. Our territory covers Southern California, Nevada, and Arizona.
All right. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Tegan.
Hi, Sam. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me today. My name, as Sam mentioned, is Tegan Watson, and I'm based in Singapore, and I'm the Canadian Technology Accelerator Coordinator here. Out of the Singapore office, we run two CTA programs. So one is the Southeast Asia Clean Tech Program, and the other is the Agri-food Innovation Webinar Series and Pitch Opportunity.
All right. Thanks for joining us, and thank you three for making the time to chat today about this very interesting program. And hoping to learn a lot. And so to get it started, maybe I'll start with Tegan in terms of maybe if you can go over some of the trends that you're seeing in your market with respect to agriculture and technologies being developed in this space.
Sure, thanks, Sam. So I think the first elephant in the room to address is like Singapore, why ag? Why ag tech? Why food innovation? Why agriculture? It's not traditionally thought of as an agricultural market, especially compared to Canada and the US. And so one really exciting announcement that Singapore made in 2019 was this goal to achieve 30% local food production by 2030. And the reason for this is because Singapore currently imports about 90% of its food. So this is a really ambitious goal. And out of the 30% of local food production, Singapore is looking to have about 10% of proteins and 20% fruit and vegetables. And so to achieve this goal, what Singapore has done is really focus on technologies that play into this. So we have sustainable food production, future food, as well as food safety innovation and food safety sciences. And so the types of technologies that we're seeing that are really exciting and being adopted and being, I guess, promoted in Singapore is really in the space of urban agriculture, aquaculture, alternative proteins, cellular and fermented foods, waste to value, so things like this. And then related to that, because Singapore wanted to create and foster this ecosystem, this community of agriculture, and this is a really new initiative, what Singapore needed to do was to bring in a lot of resources to create that community, create that infrastructure and foundation. So what we saw is we saw a lot of VCs come into Singapore, prominent names like AgFunder and Hatch, We also saw accelerators and incubators come in. So programs like Big Idea Ventures, Yield Lab, Grow, which is funded by AgFunder, as well as various innovation hubs and test bedding sites. So these would be things like the Givaudan and Bühler Protein Innovation Center. And one really exciting thing is that Singapore is really trying to position itself as a world leader in the food regulatory and food safety space. So just in December 2020, Singapore actually was the first country in the world to approve cell-grown meat. So Just Eats now sells its cellular chicken in Singapore, which is a really exciting revelation for us. So I think this presents a lot of interesting opportunities for Canadian companies in this market.
Well, certainly. No, it sounds like there's a lot of opportunities and a lot of innovation, and it gives a great opportunity for Canadian companies to take advantage of all these initiatives and changes going on in Singapore. Jenny, to you, in terms of kind of your markets, what are you seeing in terms of some of the trends in the market that you're focused on?
Yeah, thanks for asking that question, Sam. In terms of the Southern California ag market, as you know, SoCal is home to a very warm, dry, semi-desert region, which means a lot of the technologies that focus on agriculture here are those that are in high demand are the technologies that focus on water efficiency, soil irrigation, things that help to improve the nutrition and health of soil, while also being cognizant of the usage of water in an efficient manner. So in addition to that, the SoCal area is also home to quite a significant food processing industry. So, Los Angeles County has the 9th largest industry cluster in terms of food processing and food manufacturing. So there are a lot of technologies and opportunities for Canadian companies here that want to focus on providing technologies that help to make food processing and manufacturing better, more efficient, and more automated. Aside from that, there has also been a very large and growing segment in urban farming as well. With LA being a very large metropolitan area, we've seen a lot of really interesting initiatives in the urban and vertical farming. So greenhouses and hydroponics and technologies related to those two sectors are also increasing in demand as well.
Well, interesting. And I guess over to you, Emily, like in terms of Northern California, one who maybe doesn't know anything about it would listen to Jenny and say, okay, well, all of California has those trends. Is that true, or does it differ slightly for you?
There's definitely differentiation. And again, our program covers Northern California, Southern California, and the upper Midwest. So it's really we really identified these three powerhouses in agriculture as differentiated, but each having their own unique characteristics. And California as a whole, as you say, is a real agricultural powerhouse with over 400 commodities that are worth over $50 billion US. California produces 2/3 of all US fruits, vegetables, and nuts. It's the #1 dairy producing state. Almonds, lettuce, strawberries, walnuts, pistachios, and more. But Northern California really comprises, or one of the main regions there is a Central Valley, which includes 19 counties and really has a lot of this very vast farming and growing regions in it, including pistachios and almonds, these very water intensive crops as well that need a lot of innovation right now and are facing a lot of challenges, not only with the drought, but also new labor laws, labor shortages, and some trends that we're seeing here, as you're seeing in Southern California as well, is precision agriculture, crop protection, new harvesting technologies, and how to really get the usable information out of a lot of the data that is being gathered from a lot of the new technologies and innovation. And another really unique thing about Northern California is, of course, the investors and corporates that are in Silicon Valley. And that's a really essential part of our CTA as well, because they're really increasingly interested in investing in ag tech startups. And we really recognize that Canadian startups are interested in this and are a really great target for those investors. And just in 2020, startups raised $26.1 billion US in the agri-food tech sector, and that's a 15.5 year-over-year increase, and that's projected to keep accelerating. And so we're really tapping into that, not only the vast growers and the agriculture ecosystem, but also that investment ecosystem that you can find particularly in Silicon Valley.
Wow. So, and I guess maybe a follow up to that, Emily, with those opportunities, in a few words, could you explain to us, what the CTA program really is and how your program is structured to take advantage of some of these opportunities that you're highlighting?
Absolutely. So our accelerator is aimed at high potential, high growth Canadian startups in the ag tech sector. We cover everything from farm to fork except novel foods, because that's a different area of investors and different group of partners technically to work with. So it's a 4-month program that runs from approximately September to November 2021. And there are going to be virtual and in-market activities. And really we focus on a couple of different elements. The one is ecosystem intelligence, so market intelligence on the different ecosystems that we'll be visiting. So the upper Midwest with Minneapolis, the Dakotas, Northern California is with the investors, the accelerators here as well, but the partners and growers that we can connect people with. And then in Southern California, as Jenny was saying, a lot of the corporates, again, some investors there and some growers of specialty crops. And besides some of the market intelligence, we do pitch sessions as well and pitch coaching, because we do think, although startups probably have gone through some of that, there is an element of targeted coaching that is very useful when you're looking to enter the US market. We do legal and tax preparation sessions. We do a lot of networking opportunities as well for companies. So each of us work with a program partner. For example, in Minneapolis, it's Techstars, the Farm to Fork Accelerator. In Southern California, it's the LARDA Institute, and ourselves, we work with the Western Growers Association and AgStart. And these networking opportunities and these partners provide access to their ecosystems as well, which is a real added value to our program. One key element is also pitch sessions and investor roundtables and investor networking. So we create the opportunities for the startups to be seen, to pitch in front of investors, in front of corporates, in front of potential customers, and really enable that exchange. So roundtables that can include grower roundtables as well, or as I was saying, the opportunities to speak to investors that might be interested in the startup.
Well, interesting. So I guess my next question would be for you, Tegan. So how is your program structured in Singapore?
Yeah, thanks, Sam. So our program runs a little bit differently. It is a condensed program, so focusing specifically on the Agri-food webinar series and pitch competition or pitch opportunity. This program runs from September to November. And what it really is about is creating education, market knowledge, and then building links. So the reason for this, as I mentioned, is that ag tech or agri-food innovation isn't really top of mind when you think of Singapore as an opportunity or as a market for Canadian companies. And so we want to change this. We want to educate the Canadian market, Canadian stakeholders about the opportunities that Singapore has to offer, as well as vice versa. We want to educate the Singapore market about the Canadian ecosystem. So of course, Canada is always going to be thought of as a key agricultural and food producing country. However, because of Singapore's situation in the world, being close to Australia, China, Europe, there's a lot of competition here. So when we talk about especially the innovation space, the ag tech or the ag food or food sciences space, there's a lot of different players. And so Canada isn't always sort of top of mind. There's not a lot of Canadian players in the market today. So Singaporean stakeholders are really interested to learn more about what Canada has to offer in this space and see Canadian companies coming here and growing and scaling in the region. And so with that, we want to create these market linkages. So we're a little bit more of, I'd say, like an earlier program than say the US programs where they have a really full established program. Ours is more like a teaser. So what we offer is a webinar series open to Canadian stakeholders to educate them about the market. So they'll learn about the infrastructure that Singapore has put in place, the resources available, and the opportunities. So who can they partner with? Who can they collaborate? How do they grow their business in the market? And then following that, we offer a pitch opportunity where companies can apply to pitch in front of a curated audience based on their individual kind of goals, needs for the market. And with this, we're looking to connect them with investors, potential co-collaborators, co-developers, corporates, as well as potential business development opportunities. And this presents really exciting, innovative technologies to the Singaporean stakeholders to create these conversations and dialogues about what could happen next. And then we support them with any sort of leads or opportunities or discussions that are generated out of this event.
Wow. No, these sounds like really interesting, programs and very exciting for companies. And, to follow up on that, my next question, Jenny, what do you think, companies should do and how companies can do to position themselves to better maximize their participation in the CTA program?
Yeah, I would be happy to answer that question. I think one of the main things that companies can do to prepare for either CTA program is to really come to mind and develop 2 to 3 clear goals on what they would like to achieve out of our initiative. This could be sales opportunities, a list of potential target customers, for example, and any other goals, for example, investor attraction, what kinds of investors they're looking to work with. We do, before the launch of our CTA program in the fall, what we do is we sit down with each of the companies that make it into our CTA program and talk to them one-on-one to find more about their objectives and what they're really looking to achieve during the course of the 3 months that we'll be running the program. Once we've had that call, this will allow all the trade commissioners in each of our respective regions to better come up with a plan in terms of how to support the companies and guide them through the program in a way that will be beneficial and result in strong business outcomes for them after they exit the program. So that would be one of the main things I would say is companies that are eventually accepted into our program, they should identify a couple of strategic priorities that they would like to achieve. Aside from that, I would also say as well that companies should also be willing to dedicate time to the program. So ideally, companies should have 1 rep or maybe even 2 reps who have the time and are willing to dedicate 2 to 3 hours a week to be a part of our programming. We have a lot of really great info sessions and topics planned, and companies will be able to maximize their participation in the program if they're able to attend the majority of our sessions. In addition to that, I would also say, just engage and interact with peers that are part of the program. So, the ag tech firms, they're often, very similar. They're coming from the same industry and they often have or encounter similar challenges. So being able to talk and engage with companies and your peers will also provide a very valuable learning experience.
Oh, wow, that's super interesting. And I think it's valuable information for companies to make sure that they actually really prepare it and take this seriously, because this sounds like a really innovative program as well. And to kind of follow up on that as further, Emily, what would you categorize as a success? Coming out of this participating in the CTA program?
Yeah, and that's a really great question. I mean, the first of all, and really most importantly, is creating an amazing experience for the startups that are joining in this program, this cohort. And we work really closely with every one of our participants to enable this. One of the key elements is to really give everyone the tools they need to be able to pursue their business goals in the United States. Now that can vary from getting to know the ecosystem really well, but obviously one of the best successes would be if you get to have those partnerships created with either new customers, with new partners, getting into potentially a follow-up accelerator that can help further with the business goals. Obviously, if it's a company, and for us, our cohort does, we do screen for startups that are raising C to Series A funding. So connections with investors and one-on-one meetings, looking at potentially discussions on raising a funding round. All those things would be categorized as success. And that's why it's so important that we work really closely with the companies to see, what are your primary goals here? And what we can guarantee is you get the opportunity to pursue all of these. And then it's a matter of figuring out with partners, through the pitch sessions that we do, through the B2B matchmaking, what opportunities can we provide, can be pursued. And one thing that I think has been valuable for all of them is just come out with an incredible network, with an incredible knowledge base, and many of them with these incredible opportunities that are lined up or happening over the next, through the program and the time following up from that.
Wow, no, thanks for that. I think that's super useful. And to go deeper into that, Tegan, from your experience with the CTA programs, what qualities should companies have in order to actually succeed in the CTA and even, succeed in market in general?
Thanks, Sam. That's a really good question. And I think three qualities definitely come to mind for me. And then the reason being for this is because of the geographical distance between Canada and Singapore, but then also because of some of the cultural differences. So the first one is really the commitment to the market. So with this, because of the distance, local stakeholders here in Singapore want to see that the companies are committed, so that they're engaging, that they're following up with leads and conversations, as well as actually, having a presence in the market. So pre and hopefully post-COVID, actually being here, visiting, understanding what the ecosystem is like in person, meeting face-to-face, as well as establishing sort of collaboration links. So, if you're looking for investment here, or you're looking for, long-term presence or success in this market, really embedding yourselves. So whether it's co-development, co-research, establishing a local office, things like that. The second one is really patience. So Asia, generally speaking, specifically even in Singapore, it's really relationship built as far as the business relationships that you have. So it really focuses on long-term relationship development to secure deals or opportunities, and also longer deal cycles. So because of this, companies need to be really, committed long-term and patient in developing these relationships before they can actually land successes in the market. And lastly is really, having some sort of basic market knowledge or market understanding. So often when Canadian companies come to Singapore, and this is across all sectors, typically as their first sort of point of engagement, they'll talk about what they've achieved in North America or Europe. And so they'll talk about, pilots or demonstrations, customers, but often in Asia, we're looking for some sort of reference point that's local, that has that localization element, that speaks to the unique needs of the local market. And so companies need to, of course, it's very understandable for them for their first point of interaction not to have this knowledge, and that's what the CTA provides, is to help them, have these conversations, learn and develop this knowledge. But as they do, they need to build that into their pitch. They need to build that into their conversations they're having with stakeholders to make sure that they're acknowledging the unique market needs and unique positioning that is required to succeed in the Singapore or Asia market.
Wow, thanks for that. I think those are very useful and informative things to know for companies to succeed in the market. To wrap it up a little, maybe Jenny, what are some of your fondest moments or any fond memories you have of the CTA program?
Yeah, so I would say so far, the fondest memories, and Emily can probably agree with this, is just being able to meet one-on-one with some of the companies that have expressed interest in being part of our program, and really learning more about some of the really innovative technologies that they're developing. Canadian companies are really at the cutting edge of Agtech, and a lot of them are developing really interesting and unique solutions that are related to solving, agriculture, food production, or climate change. And I think that has been really, really rewarding for me to see Canadian companies developing such unique solutions.
Wow, that sounds like a super interesting, and I'm sure you're learning a lot from the companies that you're meeting with. Tegan, what about you? What have been some of your fondest memories of your participation in the CTA program?
I think for me, it has been witnessing the transition and growth that the companies go through from the start to the finish of the program. So seeing them work through, challenges, barriers, having those aha moments and being like, oh, now I know what to do next. This makes sense. I have a plan forward. And that really excites me and then makes me excited to be working with them throughout the journey that we have together on the CTA program.
Wow, that sounds exciting. And Emily, any fond memories on your end?
I definitely agree with Tegan and Jenny, but I'd also add on for us the interest that I'm seeing in California here, and really the movement in the Agtech sector that I'm seeing with partners, with investors. That's really exciting too. And to see that Canada has a really, really important role to play in the future of Agtech, that's been really exciting for me. And being able to create those connections and really highlight what's happening in Canada, that's been very, very exciting, very rewarding.
No, that's great. And I'm happy that these things are happening, and that the CTA program is there to support agricultural technology companies in Canada. explore new markets. And it's been great chatting to the three of you and learning more about your programs and the CTA program overall. But if anybody else wants further information on the CTA program, do feel free to hop online, and you can go to canada.ca /CTA to get further information as well. You can also go to tradecommissioner.gc.ca to get further information on the Trade Commissioner Service, the CTA, and all our program offerings and how you can get in touch with the Trade Commissioner to help you and help your company grow and succeed internationally. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for the chat.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.